It was December 7th, 2008. The Ravens were already in control, leading the Eagles 26-7 late in the game. It looked like the game was nearly over. Then Kevin Kolb threw a pass into the end zone, and Ed Reed changed everything. He didn't just intercept it, he took off like he knew exactly where every defender would be. 107 yards later, he was in the end zone. He had just broken his own record for the longest interception return in NFL history. It wasn't luck, it was pure instinct, perfect timing, and film study turned into action. This is how a quiet kid from Louisiana became the most dangerous safety the game has ever seen. On April 20th, 2002, the Baltimore Ravens were hoping to find their next star in the NFL draft. Their general manager, Ozzie Newsome, had done his homework. They had a list of top players they really wanted. Ed Reed, a safety from the University of Miami, wasn't one of them. He wasn't even in their top 20. As the draft moved forward, the Ravens watched in frustration. One by one, the players they wanted were taken. William Green, Levi Jones, Napoleon Harris, all gone before their turn came at pick number 24. When Harris was picked at 23, they were left scrambling. They looked further down their draft board and saw Ed Reed. He was their 24th rated player. It felt like they were just settling. Newsome admitted they were caught off guard. He said, "We got wiped out." The local newspaper the next day summed it up perfectly. Reed, solid, not sizzling. Scouts weren't excited. His 40-yard dash time was 4.57 seconds. Not bad, but not blazing. At 5 feet 11 inches and 200 pounds, he seemed a bit small for a safety. Some even said he was just a football player. Not a star, not a game changer. But what others missed, the Ravens saw. In college, Ed Reed was a machine. At Miami, he had 21 interceptions and scored 4 touchdowns on defense. He always seemed to show up when it mattered most. One scout said, when Miami needed a play, Reed appeared out of thin air. He wasn't loud, he didn't show off, but he led by example. And he was surrounded by future NFL talent, including Ray Lewis, who would later become his teammate again in Baltimore. By August 3rd, Reed signed his rookie contract. It was a 5-year deal worth just over $6 million. When training camp started, he wasn't guaranteed anything. The starting safety spots were wide open after 2 veterans had left, but coaches saw something special during practice. His instincts, his awareness. He always seemed to be one step ahead. By the time the first game of the season came around, he had won the starting job at free safety. In his very first NFL game, Reed made an impact. He had 3 solo tackles right out of the gate. Then came week 4, and that's when he really started turning heads. He picked off Broncos quarterback Brian Grease and even blocked a punt in the same game. The next week, he got another interception and broke up 4 passes. A week later, he sacked Peyton Manning for his first career sack. Midway through the season, Reed was already a highlight machine. In one game against the Bengals, he had 2 interceptions. On one of them, he nearly scored but got too excited and was stripped just before the goal line. It was a rookie mistake, but it also showed just how badly he wanted to make a difference. By the end of the season, Ed Reed had done more than anyone expected. He finished with 85 tackles, 5 interceptions, a sack, and started all 16 games. He was named to the NFL All-Rookie team. The solid, not sizzling pick had turned into one of the brightest young stars in the league. And for the Ravens, what started as a backup plan had suddenly become the foundation of their future. Ed Reed didn't need to be the biggest guy on the field, and he didn't have to be the fastest either. What made him special, what made him dangerous, was his brain. He outsmarted opponents before the game even started. While most players were sleeping, Reed was wide awake at 3 a.m., rewinding game tape over and over, searching for tiny clues. He studied every little thing, how a quarterback moved his head, how a receiver lined up, even how a player held his hands. Nothing escaped him. Jim Leonhard, one of his teammates, said Ed didn't like watching film in a crowded room. He liked silence. He liked doing it alone. And when he came back, he'd surprise everyone with what he'd found. He'd point out details no one else noticed. You could spend hours watching the same tape and still miss the things Ed picked up in one sitting. Even when he looked like he wasn't paying attention, he was locked in. One rookie safety, Haruki Nakamura, remembered watching Ed sleep during a meeting. Hoodie over his head, eyes shut. Suddenly, Ed opened one eye, glanced at the screen, and said, "This is the one where the receiver cuts across. Watch." And that's exactly what happened. He then closed his eyes and went back to sleep. The whole room sat in silence. Nobody said a word. They didn't have to. They just witnessed something unreal. But the story that really shows how smart Ed was came during a 2009 playoff game against Peyton Manning. Now, Manning wasn't just any quarterback. He was known as the most prepared player in football. But even he got outplayed. During practice that week, Ed had faked a defensive scheme just to mess with Manning's head. He made it look real, so real that Manning thought he'd figured it out. But it was a setup. In the game, Ed baited him into throwing the ball exactly where he wanted and picked it off. Not once, 3 times. 2 were canceled by penalties, but the message was clear. Ed Reed had read Manning like a book. Manning later admitted, "Ed knew my plays better than I did." Coming from a quarterback like him, that says everything. Still, Reed didn't run the show alone. He had backup, and not just anyone. He had Ray Lewis. Both came out of the University of Miami, and in Baltimore, they became the heart of the defense. Ray was loud, emotional, and intense. Ed was quiet, calm, and calculating. Ray fired up the team with roaring speeches. Ed would lean over and whisper, "Watch the slant on 3rd down." They were complete opposites, but that's what made them work so well together. If you wanted to score on Baltimore, you had to deal with both of them. Ray would crush you if you ran the ball. Ed would steal it if you threw it. In 2006, their defense gave up just 12.6 points per game, the best in 16 years. Ed Reed had a gift that most players only dream of. He didn't just play safety, he turned it into an art form. One of the most unforgettable moments of his career came on a cold November night in 2008. The Ravens were already beating the Eagles 26-7, and the game looked done. Eagles quarterback Kevin Kolb threw what looked like a routine pass toward the end zone, but Reed wasn't done yet. He jumped the route, caught the ball at the 1-yard line, and took off. What followed was pure magic. 107 yards of weaving, sprinting, and dodging defenders until he crossed the other end zone. It wasn't just a touchdown, it was a new NFL record. His teammate Terrell Suggs was so relaxed on the sideline, he didn't even notice it at first. "I was eating sunflower seeds," he said. "By the time I looked up, Ed was already halfway down the field." No one got under the skin of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick like Reed. Brady was known for slicing defenses apart, but Reed always found a way to confuse him. Their battles were mental as much as physical. Brady admitted it many times. Reed made him hesitate. Belichick, who almost never praised individual players, went on for 10 full minutes in a press conference breaking down how brilliant Reed was. He told Brady before every Ravens game, "If you see Reed moving, change the play. Don't even think about it." That respect ran deep. After Reed intercepted Brady twice in the 2012 AFC Championship, Brady handed him a handwritten note. It simply said, "You're the best I've ever played against. Congrats on an incredible career, Tom." Reed kept that note framed. "That meant more than any trophy," he later said. He even considered joining Belichick's coaching staff in 2015, but backed out. "I almost applied for the job," he said, "but I knew Ravens fans would burn my jersey." One of their most iconic matchups came in the 2010 wildcard game. Reed picked off Brady on his very first throw and returned it 25 yards. The Patriots won the game, but Brady threw 3 interceptions that day. After the game, he told reporters, "Ed's everywhere. You think he's deep, then he's jumping a slant. It's like playing against a ghost." Reed's career with Baltimore hit its perfect ending in Super Bowl 47. It was the famous Har Bowl, with John Harbaugh coaching the Ravens and his brother Jim leading the 49ers. Midway through the 3rd quarter, the 49ers were mounting a comeback. Quarterback Colin Kaepernick locked eyes with receiver Anquan Boldin and fired a pass, but Reed had already seen it coming. He jumped the route and intercepted the ball at the Ravens' 38-yard line. That pick stopped the momentum and helped the Ravens hold on. After the play, Reed broke into a celebration dance he used to do as a kid back in Louisiana. You could see it all in his face: relief, joy, and the feeling of a job well done. Reed retired after the 2013 season, playing for both the Texans and Jets. By then, he had played 181 games across 13 seasons. He collected 64 interceptions, 7th most in NFL history. He made 9 Pro Bowls, and in 2019, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame on his first try. His final game came as a member of the New York Jets, a team far from the glory days of Baltimore. But in classic Reed fashion, he still found a way to go out on a high note. He intercepted Ryan Tannehill in that last game, because of course he did.